Assalamu alaikum students. I am Muzaffar Hussain, lecturer of English subject at Islamia Boys College, Quetta. I welcome all the students of Islamia Boys College who have qualified first year and stepped into second year. I hope you are okay and you are taking care of people around you. You all know it is unexpected situation where all educational institutions of Pakistan are closed due to corona pandemic. So we are compelled to initiate online classes and educate you through YouTube channel so that you could attend the online classes and utilize your time while sitting at your home. It is the efforts of administration and principal staff that online classes are arranged for you. I hope we all will recover soon from this pandemic. I am assigned to teach selective units of second year English subject. So this is my first lecture, part A. Attend the lectures and feel free to ask questions. The first lecture that I am giving is about the Unit 2, the Caliph and the Gardener. This is the story of a very clever gardener who knows how to deal with the king or the Caliph. Uh, I'm going to start. Before going to start this story, I would like to discuss students' learning outcomes. On the completion of this unit, students will be able to understand the story and its analysis, scan to answer short questions, analyze story elements, characters, setting, plot, theme, point of view, and conflict. Know basics of an essay writing, and at the last, as far as grammar is concerned, learn the function and use of present participles. If Before going to start this chapter, first of all I would like to introduce this chapter. The Caliph and the Gardener is a short story which is written by James Baldwin. James Baldwin was born in 1924 and he died in 1987. He is an American writer. He is famous for his novels, essays, playwright, poetry, and for his social critiques. He deals with subject of racism, and he is also famous because of his passion on the subject of racism. In this lecture, The Caliph and the Gardener, in part A, we are going to discuss the summary and analysis of the story. The story begins in a way that there was a Caliph of Cordova whose name was Al-Mansur. One day a strange merchant came to him with some diamonds and pearls which he had brought from beyond the sea. The Caliph was so well pleased with these jewels that he bought them and paid the merchant a large sum of money. When the merchant received the money, then the merchant set out on foot to walk to another city. And it was a midsummer day. It was very hot day. Therefore, the merchant came near a river and decided to cool himself in the refreshing water. He took off his clothes and laid them on the bank. He put the bag of money on the top of them and then leaped into the water because it was a hot summer day. What happened that when he was swimming, when he was enjoying, at that time suddenly he saw an eagle rising into the air with his purple silk money bag in his claws. That eagle, that bird, thought that there could be something food in this bag. Therefore, that eagle picked up that bag, and it was misunderstood that in that bag it was money. The merchant jumped out of the water and shouted, but it was of no use. The bird was flying towards the far off mountains with all his money. The poor could do nothing and went home sorrowing. So you know that in this story, it is we have come across three characters. It is the merchant, the Caliph, and now it is a bird, it is a bird which has taken the money of this merchant, and it was the money which he received from the king. What happens that the merchant? What happens that the merchant jumped out of the water and shouted, but it was of no use. The bird was flying through the far off mountains with all his money. The poor could do nothing and went home sorrowing. After 1 year, the merchant appeared once more before Al Mansur. It says that after 1 year, he again comes near Al Mansur. What he says to Al Mansur, we are going to read the dialogue. O Caliph, he said, here are a few jewels which I had reserved as a present for my wife. But I have met with such a bad luck that I am forced to sell them. I pray that you will look at them and take them at your own price. Why, what has happened to you? The Caliph asked. Then the merchant told him how the eagle had flown away with his money. Towards what place was the eagle flying when you last saw it? Asked Caliph. Now the Caliph inquires about the way the way where this bird has flown. It was flying towards the Black Mountain, answered the merchant. The Caliph ordered his officers to summon the people who live on the mountain or around it. He was a caliph, he was a king, he could order anything. Therefore, he ordered that all those people who are living there, they should be summoned. After 1 week, 40 grey-bearded, honest old men stood before the caliph, who were asked. Now, these are the actual words of the caliph. Do you know of any person who was once poor, but who has lately and suddenly become well-to-do? A few said that there was one man in their neighborhood who seemed to have had some sort of good luck. This man was a gardener. A year ago he was so poor that he had scarcely clothes for his back. His children were crying for food. Now, in this story, we come across a new character about whom they are saying, and that person is a gardener. He is poor. He does not have money to. He does not have food to eat. He does not have clothes to wear. But lately everything had changed for him. Both he and his family dressed well. They had plenty to eat. He had even bought a horse to help him carry his produce to market. The Caliph ordered for the gardener and the merchant to be present before him the next day. Next day, the Caliph said to the old man, good friend, he said, if you should find something that we have lost, what would you do with it? The gardener offered the very bag that the merchant had lost. Now it says that when the caliph asked the person, I mean the person who was who about whom other people said that he was once poor, but he has come across a good fortune. He is no more poor now. So when he asked about that, if I have lost something and you have found it, so what would you do? The clever gardener, what he answers, looking his lost treasure, the gardener offered the very bag that the merchant had lost. I mean, he has offered the very bag. Looking his lost treasure, the merchant began to shout for joy. Al Mansur asked, tell us how you came to find that bag. Now you can see now you can see that the answers of the gardener, it is very he is a very honest, he is also a very clever person. The gardener answered, a year ago as I was spreading in my garden, I saw something fall at the foot of a palm tree. I ran to pick it up and was surprised to find that it was a bag of bright gold pieces. I said to myself, this money must belong to our master Al Mansur. Some large bird has stolen it from his palace. Well then, said the caliph, why did you not return it to us at once? It was a clever question. It was this way, said the gardener. The gardener replied very cleverly. I looked at the gold pieces and then thought of my own great necessities. My wife and children were suffering from the want of food and clothing. I had no shoes for my feet, no coat for my back, so I said to myself, my Lord Al Mansur is famous for his kindness to the poor. He will not care, so I took 10 gold pieces from the money that were in the bag. I meant only to borrow them, and I put the bag in safe place, saying that as soon as I could replace the 10 pieces, I would return all to my Lord Al Mansur. With much hard labor and careful management, I have saved only five little silver pieces. But as I came to your palace this morning, I kept saying to myself, when our Lord Al Mansur learns just how it was that I borrowed the gold, I have no doubt that in his kindness of heart, he will forgive me the debt. Great was the Caliph's surprise when he heard the poor man's story. He took the bag of money and handed it to the merchant. Take the bag and count the money that is in it, he said. If anything is lacking, I will pay it to you. The merchant did as he was told. There is nothing lacking, he said, but the 10 pieces he has told you about, and I will give him these as a reward. No, said Al Mansur, it is for me to reward the man as he deserves. Saying this, he ordered that 10 gold pieces be given to the merchant in place of those that were lacking. Then he rewarded the gardener with 10 more pieces for his honesty. Your debt is paid, think no more about it, he said. Here the story ends, and it ends in a way that the merchant who has become poor because he has lost his money, he has found his money, and his money is found in a way that the old person who has that same bag, he has given it back to him, and at the same time he has also spent 10 gold pieces out of those money. So therefore, when the Al Mansur asked him that why did you spend, why didn't you return it back? So he told his story. He exposed his own life, that he is poor, he has nothing to eat, he has nothing to wear, and his family is also poor. So he thought to take 10 gold pieces from that money, and he also promised that he will do hard work to again collect those money and pay it back to the master Al Mansur. So seeing these, Al Mansur was inspired by the honesty, by the hard work, by the cleverity of this man. So he rewarded him those 10 gold pieces, and he also gave back those money to the merchant. So merchant also got his money, and the poor man who spent 10 gold pieces, he also his debt was also we can say paid. His debt was paid in a reward by Al Mansur. So in this story, like if we discuss about the analysis of the story basically tells how the caliph or the kings are not aware about the situation of the poor class. The poor class who are far away from the city, they are living in the country, they are suffering. They are suffering because they do not have money, because they do not have food, they do not have clothes. But on the other hand, these merchants, these kings, these people who are around the palace, they are enjoying, they have money, they have everything. First of all, this exposition of the wealth that the rich has and the poor does not have is exposed. Secondly, in this short story, the writer has shown the cleverness of the gardener who has taken the money. If he would tell the truth, that if he would tell another thing about how he has spent the money, he would have the caliph could have sent him to the prison. But he cleverly answered, he cleverly managed how to deal with the kings and the prince and the caliphs. Therefore he also he was rewarded those 10 gold pieces that he has spent. So here the story ends. Next time, inshallah, we will discuss the elements of the story. We will discuss the grammar part of this chapter, and we will also discuss essay writing. So hope you have understood the story. give a read to this story and ask your questions in a comment. Thank you so much.